Comedian, I'm used to people either laughing or being pissed, but it's fun to watch people covering their faces and stuff. For all those of you who are covering your face, spoiler alert, I'm Bigfoot, all right? But I'm glad you enjoyed it so much. It was really fun to watch it with people.
Is there like an amazing blooper outtake reel of you trying out other Bigfoot noises or fucking it up or coughing?
No, but we saw two mountain lions where we were filming. It's a 17-mile dirt road that takes about 2.5 hours to get to. And while we were filming, oh thanks, I'm super thirsty. So one of the things, just before we filmed the tent scene, we saw a mountain lion, and the irony of me being mauled to death by a bobcat wasn't lost on me as I was creeping towards the tent. You know, I was like, because I didn't tell them what was going to happen while they were in the tent. So if suddenly I was going, ah, you know, they go, ooh. You know, I haven't heard that voice since the 80s. So, yeah, that was, it was funny when we filmed the tent scene. We did that, it's 19 minutes long, that take, and you know, when they're in the tent. And when we filmed it, the first time, Bryce, the guy playing Jim, he started crying. And I said, well, your character's, you know, you're not crying, you're a little bit excited when it first starts happening, and he goes, yeah, Jim wasn't crying, Bryce was crying. I go, so he's like, hey man, you know, why are we filming this here right now? We could do this in a parking lot in a hotel, you know, we don't need to be in a tent in the woods. And I was like, well, yeah, we do. It's you know, so it worked being out there. It was scary, I guess. But you know, like 90% of the audio is all live and stuff. So I really like that scene in the tent because you can actually hear the river and you hear all the, you know, how it sounds in the middle of nowhere. You can't kind of cook that, you know.
I know. When the filmmakers who made the Blair Witch Project were shooting, it was a really big deal to fuck with their actors, and you were doing some of that here, obviously. Was it a case where you gave them a bunch of direction and said, this is what's going to happen, or were you behind the camera in a lot of those shots?
No, they shoot the majority of the movie, and some of the stuff we'd have to reshoot because Bryce was actually a pretty good operator, and all of a sudden, you know, he'd do zooms and pushes, and we'd have to do it again, so it looked more amateur. So it looked, you know, people bring up the Blair Witch Project, and you know, I have to see that movie. No, you know, I don't mind the comparisons. People will say it's derivative, and maybe that's true, but there's a lot about the Blair Witch Project that actually was good, and then it seems like people who make found footage movies now jettison it. You know, the things that did work in that movie. You know, I've called this the Blair Squatch Project. When I showed it to Jimmy Kimmel, he called it Scary and the Hendersons, which I like that.
What were the people of Willow Creek actually like? Were they receptive to what you guys were doing, or were they kind of hucksters, or did they want you to fuck right off?
Yeah, well, a lot of those people in the movie are residents. They're real, you know. Like Steven at Bigfoot Books is real. Anita, the woman that doesn't believe in Bigfoot that runs the visitor center, it's amazing. They have her, you know, that's their main livelihood after growing marijuana. I don't know why they wouldn't encourage Bigfoot. You know, I don't believe in it. Nope. I kind of love her, but there are people who are actors who are fake. But most of those people, like the native woman who speaks. Her name is Sean White Guy Sr. That's a real person. I wouldn't write that name. It's too weird, you know. a Native American Indian named White Guy. It's
Senior.
Senior, yeah. Apparently, I don't know if there's a Sean White Guy Jr. or whatever. So yeah, a lot of those folks are real. A lot of those folks are nervous about being filmed because Bob Saget had just come through not long before me, and he was doing kind of a snarky take on Bigfoot, and so they were a little camera shy around another 80s comedian named Bob. I kind of want him over. I don't want to poke fun at these people. That's why I said earlier, initially I thought I'd do like a Christopher Guest kind of movie set in that world, but I really didn't think I wanted to pick on these people because, and as far as like subcultures, there's very little, people don't really go, hey man, they're Bigfoot people, cut them a break, it's like Star Trek enthusiasts, Ren Fair people, then Al-Qaeda, then Bigfoot people, as far as people willing to listen to what they have to say. So that's why I switched it up and tried to do a suspense movie instead.
Those Al-Qaeda conventions are not very popular in the fan community, by the way.
No, well, the fanboys, they check their sneakers. I went to the Bigfoot convention, and Corey, who had his Bigfoot costume, he made that himself, and he did a good job because Bigfoot has a flat head in his suit. And in the community, Bigfoot has a flat head. They don't believe he has a pointy head. They think that's Spielberg bullshit from Harry and the Hendersons. Man, that's fake. So I was at a convention, and there was a guy who had a pointy-headed cardboard cutout of Bigfoot, and this other guy walks over, and he goes, you disgust me. And he goes, why? He goes, look at that head. He goes, really? I've seen Bigfoot 3 times, and you'll never see him because you smoke. I guess Bigfoot doesn't like tobacco, but he likes grass. They love their weed out there in the Bigfoot community. I was out there recently with the fellas, and one of the things, they put bacon on the fire because Bigfoot likes to smell bacon, and I'm like, yeah, so don't bears. Bears like bacon too. And it was really fun because I was out with Tom Yamarone, the guy who sings he's the Bob Dylan of the Bigfoot community, and he was with us, and it was a special part of the night where he ran out of Bigfoot-related songs and started performing Jewel.
Who's written a lot of Bigfoot songs.
It was really, yeah. That dude with the shorts and the guitar singing Jewel. That was probably the thing I couldn't predict the most of all the experiences I've had there. And he does a really sweet thing, man. We're walking in the woods with no flashlights, and we're really, I can't explain it. There's no planes going over. It's really, really remote. And classic horror, your phone doesn't work, and GPS doesn't work. And so we have no lights, and then he's calling Bigfoot. He keeps going, whoop, whoop. And then he'd go, So tomorrow morning we're going to get up early. And what I thought was beautiful was that little, It's, that's weird. He usually picks up. I don't know what's going on. This is Friday, right? Because I told him Friday. All right. So, and he just would do that all night long,
So when you're making this kind of movie, there's a point where you have to have the discussion of, do we show the monster?
Yeah.
Was that something that you grappled with, or was it always your decision that it was going to kind of be theater of the mind?
I was more interested. I didn't. I think of Sasquatch and other things like when I watch a horror picture and the devil shows up. It makes me laugh. It's like, oh, that does look like the devil, because in your own subconscious you have your own ideas. So I didn't want to do that. And The Legend of Boggy Creek is a movie that really inspired this, and they have a little Bigfoot in there, but not too much. But then And also the movie Grizzly Man, the Werner Herzog movie had a lot to do with this movie because you don't see all the horrible thing, and it's just one guy's drive that ends to be their downfall without getting too pretentious.
When Timothy Treadwell looks into the eyes of the bear.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's one of our favorites around.
I love the Inuit guy who goes, I think the bears didn't kill him because they thought he was like maybe retarded. I know that's a proper word, but I don't know what was worse, me saying retarded or me doing a horrible Indian impression.
Maybe it's time to open it up to you guys. Who's got a question? Put your arm up, I'll pick you out of the crowd. You, sir, right on the end of the row.
How much between the lead actors was improv?
The question is how much among the lead actors was improv?
There was about a 25-page outline. And both those guys, Bryce was in a movie I did called Sleeping Dogs Lie. And he shows up in God Bless America, another movie I did as the douchey guy that shares a cubicle with my hero. So I have a good relationship with him. And Alexi starred in this movie that I did called World's Greatest Dad with Robin Williams. And so these are people I knew really well. Oh, thanks. That's about as many people who saw it. And it's all right. Seriously, I'm so happy that so many of you are here. You have no idea. So we would, it was an 11-hour drive from LA before we drove down that dirt road for another 2. So we really discussed who these people were, what would happen, how they would do stuff, and then we would do like a loose rehearsal. And so they ad-libbed a lot, and then sometimes I'm feeding them lines, and then we would do a take again and stuff. But it was there was a couple challenges that interested me in making the movie. One, I'm a fan of like Joe Schwamberg and those guys and how they make movies, and I thought, I wonder if I could do an improv movie. And then the other is there's so many people that I admire will make scenes where not much is going on and I'm terrified or creeped out or just uncomfortable, like people like like David Lynch and Tarantino and I wanted to see if I could do that,
Cool. Let's take another question. Hands up to my left. Oh, here we go.
Could you explain the process for casting your talent?
He wants to know about how you casted this film, what it was like.
How I cast is I have a couch. No, I just creeped out a lot of people. The main people are folks that I've worked with before, but casting, and then there was a lot of folks that were just locals, but there wasn't too much casting. Finding the woman to be nude, that was a casting thing. That was weird, because like in order to make her dirty, I went to a grocery store and bought a bunch of cinnamon and syrup and chocolate and oil, and then when she's standing out there all by herself about 40 feet away from the rest of us, I'm like going, I just made a bear donut is what I did,
Like the bacon wasn't enough, man.
Yeah. So it's that woman smells good. So, and then she walks out of the woods. She goes, well, that's off of my bucket list. And I'm like, man, what is your bucket list? That is crazy.
Well, I've been waiting. I imagine somebody out there is going to ask this anyways. But let's get it out of the way. What was with her in the movie at the end there?
Well, she's the woman at the beginning that they say is too happy to be missing. So there's a belief in the natives people that Sasquatch would actually steal women for concubines. So that's what I have in my mind. But I also know that at that moment, if I cut to Bigfoot, it wouldn't have been as frightening. Somebody said that this movie's everything men afraid of, a male thing, like being shot down when you propose, seeing another dude's penis, and seeing someone that looks like your mom nude. So So maybe that's it, you know.
Masterful filmmaking. We got time for a couple more. Let me go. Is anyone up at the very top got a question? Second, I see somebody waving like in the very back row almost. Yeah. No, you just look behind you. Yeah, you.
The guy.
Be loud.
The guy kicking the other guy in the head. No, that was last night's stream.
You with the hoodie on. Do it. Ask us loud.
Bobcat, do you believe in Bigfoot?
Do you believe in Bigfoot?
I'd like to not rule out the idea of Bigfoot. So yeah, I mean, it's weird because people ask me that, and I'll say, yeah, I believe in Bigfoot, and then this guy, I heard you were an atheist, and I was like, well, I know people who've seen Bigfoot.
Atheists.
Atheist. I'm an atheist.
Sorry, man. Okay, we got time for one more. Right against the wall over there.